Hello grade 10 students. Today I am here to teach you mathematics relevant to your grade 10 textbook. So what is the first lesson in your textbook? That's called perimeter. So here we'll see what are the basic concepts related to perimeter. Now when you are using perimeter, in future purposes, we can use the letter P instead of perimeter. Otherwise, you have to write down the word again and again. So, I'll write down the letter P for perimeter. In geometry, you get different shapes. What are the shapes that you know? You know rectangles, squares, circles, triangles. So, we'll see those figures and try to find out the perimeter. So, we'll take one shape. What is this shape? This is a rectangle. So here in a rectangle, opposite sides are equal and angles are 90 degrees. We'll take another one. What is this shape? A triangle. What about this one? A circle. Sometimes you get shapes like this. Now we'll see when you are taking this shape, we'll start from this position, and if we can go round and come to the same position, we say those are closed figure. Now what about this one? We can start from any place, go round and come to the same position. What about this one? You can start from any place, go round and come to the same position. So if you can come to the same position, we call those are closed plane figures. So here these are closed plane figures. Why we say these are plane figures? Because I drew these on this plane. Now what about these ones? Start from any place, and when you go round and round, you are not getting the same position. Here also you are not getting the same position. So we call these are open plane figures. So what is perimeter? So perimeter is defined as the total outer distance of a closed plane figure. So here this is a closed plane figure. So the total outer distance of a closed plane figure. Here in this one, we are not finding perimeter because this is an open plane figure. So in grade 10 syllabus, we are finding perimeter of closed plane figures like this. Now we'll look at what are the units we can use for perimeter. So perimeter is basically a distance or a length. So what are the units for length? So you have to use the same units we are using for length for the perimeter. So what are the units that you know? Units that we are using for a distance or a length is millimeters, centimeters, meters and kilometers. What's the conversion between all these units? We know when you take your geometry set, you get 15 centimeter ruler. So in that 15 centimeter ruler, when you take 1 centimeter, 0 to 1, you get 10 gaps. So that means you get 10 millimeter lines equal to 1 centimeter. And when we take a meter ruler, you get 100 centimeter units. So we say 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. And also when you take meters and kilometers, we know that 1000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. So you need to memorize all these conversions because it is very important. When you get a question with different units, you have to know the conversion between all of these. So in perimeter, this is really important. So the first basic shape that you need to know is about rectangles. So what are rectangles? So rectangle is a quadrilateral with 4 sides. Opposite sides are equal and all angles 90 degrees. So here we'll take the longer side we call length. What about the shorter side? We call its breadth. So we can't write the word length and breadth again and again. So what we can do, we can use letters instead of length and breadth. So I'll take length as L and breadth as B. And what is perimeter? We took perimeter as capital P. Now I want to find out the perimeter of this rectangle. So what can I do? I can start from one place, go around this figure and come back to the same position. Now if I want to find out the perimeter, I can start from here. So here I took length as L. So the opposite sides are equal means this is also L. If this is B, this side also B. Now we'll try to find out the perimeter. So we can start from here, L. Then again you get breadth B. This side again L. And this side again B. So here we'll try to simplify this. We know in algebra we can simplify the like terms. So L and L I can write by adding, this is 2L. What about B and B? I can write 2B. And here I can take 2 out because 2 is common to both of these terms. I can write L plus B. So this is the perimeter formula for a rectangle. So if you know the length and the breadth of the rectangle, you can find out the perimeter by first add the length and breadth and multiply by 2. Now we'll see how we can apply this in examples. We'll take the first example. So what is this shape? This is a rectangle because 90 degrees given. So we know opposite sides are equal. So this is also 12. This is also 8. So what's the formula? Perimeter is equal to 2 times L plus B. So you can just add. L is given. L is the longest side. 12. Breadth is the shorter one. So 8. So first brackets according to Bodmer's. 12 plus 8 is 20. 2 times 20, you get 40. Now what's the unit? Here all these measurements given in centimeters, so you have to use centimeters. Now take the next example. One side is 12.5 and the other side is 7.5. So here we know this is length, this is also 12.5, this is breadth 7.5, this is also 7.5. But you can easily use the formula. This is equal to double of L plus B. So here apply the values. Length is 12.5, breadth is 7.5. So when you add these two, what you get? 7.5 plus 12.5, you get 20. So 20 times 2. 20 times 2 becomes 40. Here also centimeters, so you can write 40 centimeters. Now look at this one. This is also a rectangle. Straight away you can use the formula. 2 times length plus breadth. When you simplify this, you can add it together. 8 plus 6 is 14, so 140. 2 times 140, you get 280. So this is in meters, so the units we have to use as meters. Now look at this question. This is slightly different. So here length you know as 35 and breadth not given, but the perimeter is given as 100 meters. So what you do? So you can find breadth by using the perimeter. Now we'll look at the formula. P equals double of L plus B. So we'll substitute. Perimeter is 100 given. So we can substitute 100 here. 2 is there. L. What is L? L is 35. So we can write 35, but we don't know the breadth. So how can we solve this equation? So the first thing you can do, you can divide both sides by 2. So when you divide both sides by 2, what happens? These 2 get cancelled out. 100 divided by 2 is 50 is equal to 35 plus B. So how can we find B? You can take 35 to the other side. B equals 50 minus 35. So you get 15 meters because the units given is in meters. The next shape, that's called squares. So what's the difference between a square and a rectangle? So square is also a four-sided figure, but we know in a square all sides are equal and all these angles are 90 degrees. So that's the difference between a square and a rectangle. So here we'll take one side as L. So all these sides are L. So if I want to find out the perimeter of a square, I can start from here, go around the figure and find out the total distance. So what's the perimeter? P equals, so I'll start from here, L. Here you get L. What about this one? Another L, and this also another L. So you get, so all these are like terms. So L plus L plus L plus L, you can add it and write down, that's 4L. So here we can use this formula to find out the perimeter of a square. So if you know one side as L, just multiply this by 4. So here you need to memorize this formula if you want to find out the perimeter of a square. So we'll take an example. I'll take an example. So this is given like this and marked all sides are equal and given one side is 8 centimeters. So how can we find out the perimeter? We know this is a square. So straight away you can apply the formula. P equals 4 times 1 length. So 4 times 8, that's equal to 32 centimeters. We'll take another example. One side is given 10.3. find the perimeter of this figure. So how can we find out? We know one length is 10.3. So straight away you can write down this is as 4 times 10.3. So 4 times 10.3 multiplied by 4. 4 times 3, 12. 4 times 1, 4. And you need to put a decimal place. So if this is in meters, the perimeter also in meters. Now we'll take this question. So here it's given, find the length of the square when the perimeter is given 48. So it's mentioned this is a square. So we will sketch the diagram. This is a square. And it's given, you don't know the side, but the perimeter is given 48. So you can use the perimeter formula. So what is perimeter? 4 times 1 length. Now substitute the values. 48 is perimeter and 4 times L. So how can we find out L? We can divide both sides by 4. What happens? 4 get cancelled out. You get L. 48 divided by 4, you get 12. So what's one side? This is 12 centimeters because the perimeter is given in centimeters. Next shape that you need to know is about triangles. Now, do you know there are several types of triangles? One is all sides are not equal. The other one is two sides are equal. And another shape, we know all 3 sides are equal. Can you remember those names? All sides are different. We say scalene triangle. So all angles also different. If 2 sides are equal, we call isosceles triangles. So what you call when all sides are equal? We call equilateral triangles. So we'll first see when you get scalene triangles, how we can find out the perimeter. So we'll take scalene triangle. We know all sides are different. So we can use one side is A, the other side is B, and the third side is C. So here, if you want to find out perimeter, what we do, we can start from one place, go around the figure and come back to the same position. So here, when you start from here, you get B, then C, and then A. So here, in scaling triangles, what we do, just add all sides. So here, basically, I can rewrite this as A plus B plus C. So the perimeter of a scaling triangle, just add 3 sides. For example, I'll take a triangle with one side is 8 centimeter, other side is 6 centimeters and the other one is 10 centimeters. Now, if I want to find out the perimeter, what I do? I can add all these 3 sides. 8 plus 6 plus 10. So what's the answer? 8 plus 6 is 14. 14 plus 10, 24 centimeters because the units of these lengths are also in centimeter. So if remember, when you get a scaling triangle, all sides are not equal. So you can just add all sides. Now here, this is an example for scaling triangle. And you are asked to find out x when the perimeter is given 7 centimeters. And then hence means using x, find the lengths of all sides. So how can we do? So we know how we find out perimeter. We can just add all sides. So one side is 2x plus 3, other side is x plus 9. What's the other side? This is 3x minus 2. So when you add all together, you get the perimeter. But in the question, perimeter is given as 70 centimeters. So I can write 70 centimeters instead of perimeter. So I'll write here, instead of P, I can substitute 70. Now, this is an algebraic equation. So how can we solve? We need to first add like terms and take all x terms to one side and all the numbers to the other side and find x. So we'll try to add like terms. 2x, x, you get 3x. 3x and 3x, you get 6x. What about the numbers? 3 plus 9, you get 12. 12 minus 2, you get 10. So 6x plus 10 is equal to 70. So how you solve for x? You can take 10 to the other side. So 6x equals 70 minus 10. So what is 70 minus 10? You get 60. So 6x is 60. How you find out x? You divide both sides by 6. So when you divide both sides by 6, you get x equals 60 divided by 6 becomes 10. So what is the x value? This is 10 centimeters. Now we found out x, but they are asking all lengths. So here you can substitute the x value in these expressions and find out the other lengths. So here we'll take this first length, 2x plus 3. So you can just substitute the value. 2 times x is 10 now. 2 times 10 plus 3. So according to Bodmer's, make sure that you multiply the numbers first and then add this number. So 10 times 2, 20, 20 plus 3 is 23. So one side is 23 centimeters. What's the next one? You get x plus 9. So x is 10, 10 plus 9. So what's the answer? 19 centimeters. What's the third one? 3x minus 2. So what is 3x minus 2? 3 times 10 minus 2. So according to Bodmer's, 3 times 10 first. So you get 30. 30 minus 2, you get 28 centimeters. So these are the lengths of this triangle. Now we'll look at equilateral triangles. So what are equilateral triangles? I explained before, when all sides are equal. And what about the angle? Can you remember one angle? One angle is 60 degrees. Now we need to find out the perimeter. So we know if one length is L, this is also L, this is also L. So if you want to find out the perimeter, you can just start from one place, go around this figure and find out all the lengths. So here, what's the perimeter? P equals L plus L plus L. So when you simplify what you get, those are like terms, so you can add L plus L plus L becomes 3L. So here, if you want to find out the perimeter of an equilateral triangle, you can use this formula. Now we'll see an example. This is given and here these three lines given. That means all sides are equal. And I'll give this side is 6 centimeters. So what's the perimeter of this figure, this triangle? P equals, we know all sides are equal. So this is an equilateral. Just multiply the length given by 3. So 3 times 6, you get 18 centimeters. Now we'll take another one. Another triangle is given like this and then marked like this. So same thing, all sides are equal. If one side is 10.2 meters, find the perimeter of this figure. So what you do? You just take one side and multiply it by 3. So what is 3 times 102? 306. But there's a decimal place, so make sure that you put a decimal place there. So 30.6, what's the unit? This is in meters. So we did 2 types of triangles. One is scalene, all sides are not equal, and the other one is equilateral, all sides are equal. Now the next important shape is about a circle. So what do you know about a circle? So when you take a circle, so what is this point? In the middle, we call, that's the center. Center of a circle. What about the line from the point to any point on the circle? We call this length is radius. Or you can use simple R for that. Here normally we use O letter for center. Then what about a line passes through the center and these 2 points on the circle? What do you call that? That's a diameter. So diameter, we can use simple D for diameter. So here we need to know if there's a circle, the middle point we call center, and the line from the center to a point on the circle we call radius, and a line passes through the center and the 2 points on the circle we call the diameter. And what about the perimeter of a circle? There's a special name for that. When you start from one place and when you go around the figure and come back to the same position, that's called perimeter of a circle. Without writing perimeter of a circle, we can say circumference. So circumference is basically the perimeter of a circle. So we can use capital C for that. Now, what's the relationship between the circumference and the radius or circumference with the diameter? So in previous grades you have done that. So we found out the circumference is equal to 2 pi r value. So here, what's pi value? You can use pi as 22/7. What about the relationship between the radius and the diameter? We know double of radius is the diameter. So here, if D equals 2r, double of radius is diameter, I can plug. Instead of 2r, I can plug D. So what's the other formula you can use for circumference? So I can use 2r. 2r is diameter, so I can use pi d. So when you get a circle, how can we find out the circumference? If you know the radius, you can use 2 pi r formula. If you know the diameter, we can straight away write down pi into d. So this formula you need to memorize. So basically d is the diameter and r is the radius. Now we'll look at this example. So there's a circle and find the circumference of a circle when diameter is 14. So we'll sketch a diagram. So there's a circle. So the diameter is the line passes through the center on the two points on the circle. So here this is given 14 centimeters. So here they asked to find out the circumference. So you can straight away use the formula pi d because d is given. So pi, what's the value we can substitute? 22/7. And what is d? D is given 14. So substitute. Here we can see 7 and 14 we can simplify. Cross out this one, you get 2 here. 2 times 22 becomes 44. What's the unit? This is in centimeters. We'll take the second example. Find the circumference of a circle when radius is 7. In this case, radius is given 7 centimeters. So what's the formula? Suitable formula is in terms of r, 2 pi r. Then substitute the pi value, that's 22/7. Radius value is 7. Now see whether you can simplify. Yes, this 7 get cancelled out with this 7. 2 times 22, you get 44. What's the unit? This is also in centimeters. Now we'll take another example. It says find the radius of a circle when the circumference is 88. Now the circumference is given and you are asked to find out the radius. So here 88 centimeter is the circumference. So this is related to radius. So we can straight away use the formula C equals 2 pi r. And we know circumference is 88. So you can substitute 88 instead of C. So 2 times, what is pi value? Pi value is 22/7. So what is the radius value? We don't know. So we can use r as radius. And try to simplify. We will first multiply this one. 2 times 22 is 44. r/7 is equal to 88. So how can we find r? You have to make r as the subject of the formula. I can rewrite this in this way. So I can write this one first and write down this is 88. So how can I solve this? I need to multiply both sides by 7 to get rid of this 7. So what happens? 7 get cancelled out. I get 44r equals 88 times 7. Here no need to multiply here because later when we are dividing by 44 you can simplify easily. So what is r here? You need to divide both sides by 44. So you get 88 into 7 divided by 44. So can you see? 44 times 2 is 88. So 2 times 7 you get 14. So what's the unit? Circumference given in centimeters. So you have to use centimeters. Now we'll look at your review exercise in the textbook. So we did all these shapes, rectangles, triangles, square and circle. So we'll see whether we can find out perimeter. So in the first question, perimeter of each of the following plane figures. So this is a rectangle. Can you remember the formula? You can straight away write 2 times length plus breadth. So 2 times, what is length here? The longer side we call length. 20 plus 10. According to Bodmer's first brackets, 20 plus 10 is 30. 30 times 2, you get 60. So what's the unit here? You have to use centimeters. So what's this shape? All sides are equal. So this is a square. So here, what's the formula for a square? 4 times 1 length. 1 length is given 7 centimeters. So 4 times 7, you get 28 centimeters. What is this shape? This is an equilateral triangle. All sides are equal. So what's the formula? If you know one side, you have to multiply by 3. So 3 times 12. So what's the answer? 36 centimeter for the perimeter. Now we'll look at this shape. You are asked to find out the perimeter. But when you look at carefully, you need to see this one. So what is this distance and this distance? When you add these two, what you get? You get same as 8 centimeters. And if you take this one, I'll take another color here. If you take this distance and add it to this one, what you get? You get this 12 centimeter distance. So here, this is actually a rectangle. When you move the lengths, okay, we'll take these two and this one. If you move this one to this side, you get this length. So here, this length is already there, and if you move this one to this length, you get here. So basically, you are getting a rectangle. One side is 8, other side is 12. So what's the formula for perimeter? You can use double of length plus breadth. So 12 plus 8, you get 20. 20 times 2, you get 40. So what's the unit here? 40 centimeters. Now here also in this question, look at carefully. When you take this one and this one, what you get? You get 10. So here I'll draw this and this. So I get 10. And if you take this length and this length, what you get? 10. So here this is a square. One side is 10, the other side also 10. So this is a square. So what's the formula we can use? Perimeter equals 4 times one side. So 4 times 10 is 40. So 40 centimeter for this perimeter of this figure. What about the third one? Third one is a circle. What's given? Radius is given. So straight away you can use the formula. The circumference is equal to 2 pi r. So here pi is 22 over 7. So what's the radius? Radius we can use as 7. Now try to simplify. 7 get cancelled out and you get 2 times 22 is 44. This is in centimeters. Now we'll look at the second question. Find the perimeter of the following figure. Now here also you have given certain distances. These are equal. Now here this is 3 and this is also 3. This is also 3 because all these lengths are equal. When you start from here, you have to add this plus this plus this plus. That's the shape given. So the perimeter means total outer length. When you start from here, what is this distance and this distance becomes? We can see this and this same as this total distance. So here I'll start from here. So you get 3 here. Then this and this becomes 4 plus 6, that's 10. And here you get 3, another 3, and then here you get 6, and you need to find out this distance. Now, how can we find out this distance? Look at carefully what is given. This is 90 degrees given. One side is 3, the other one is 4. How can we find out this distance? Can you remember? You did Pythagoras theorem before. If it's a right angle triangle and two sides are given, you can find out the other length. So here we call this is hypotenuse. So you can find out the hypotenuse by using Pythagoras theorem. So here we'll find out x squared. The hypotenuse squared is equal to the sum of square terms of the other two sides. So here 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16. 16 plus 9 becomes 25. So how can we find out x? Square root of 25. So here what's square root of 25? That's plus or minus 5, but we take the positive value because this is a length. So we'll take 5 centimeter for x. So here you need to, this is x we found, so you have to add that value as well. So what's the perimeter of this figure? Add all together. 3 plus 3, 6, 6 plus 3, 9, 9 plus 6, 15, 15 plus 5, 20, 20 plus 10, 30. So what's the perimeter of this figure? 30 centimeters. Now we'll see what's a sector means, sector of a circle. So here we'll first take a circle. Okay, so this is the center. I'm taking these two radius. So here this is O and I'll take A and B. Now I want to cut this part. So I want to cut this part and separate it. So what happens when you separate? I'm taking this part out. So I'm getting this shape O, A, B. Now I want to cut it. So here I'll cut this part from here. So here have you seen this shape? Something like this. So when you buy Kraft cheese, what can you see? So you get different slices like this, cheese slices like this. So when you take one cheese slice, you get this shape. Where else you see this shape? When you buy pizza, so also you get pizza cut into these shapes. So here we call these shapes are sectors. So what is a sector? So sector is defined as the plane figure bounded by two radii and an arc. So this part is a part of a circumference. So we call that's an arc. So this is radius. This is also radius. What about this one? This is also a sector. So two radii and the arc length. But what's the difference between these two? So when you look at the angle here, this angle is a smaller one. So we call acute angle. What about this one? You get a big angle, more than 180. So what you call those angles? Reflex angles. But Those two are sectors. So here we'll try to find out how we can find out the arc length when you get a sector. So here I'll erase this one and show you. When you want to find out the arc length, the angle here is important. So what you call this angle? Angle at the center. So here we'll call this angle as the angle at the center. Okay, so we'll take a full circle. And when you take the point in the middle, you get altogether how many degrees altogether? 360. So 360 for the full circle. Now we want to find out a part of that. So that's a sector. So we'll take this part. I want to take this part. If the angle here, I'll use theta. So what is theta? Theta is a Greek letter. Instead of theta, you can use any letter, A, B, C, any letter. But in mathematics, mostly we use Greek letters because most mathematicians are Greek mathematicians. So that's why they have used Greek letters. So theta is a Greek letter. So here, if this angle is theta, so how can we find out this arc length? We'll put L for arc length. So here we know if this is 360 degrees, the full circle, what's the circumference of a full circle? We know 2 pi r. So for 360 degrees, that's 2 pi r, because that's the full circle and r is the radius of a circle. We want 1 degree. What is 1 degree length means? So that means you have to divide this by 360. And we want to find out if the angle is theta, what's the length? So if this is theta, what's the length? So here we need to take this value and multiply by theta. So when you rearrange this, what you get? This is the arc length. So we can write arc length is equal to, we can use L. Here I'll rearrange theta and 360 together. Angle divided by 360 into 2 pi r. So I can see there's a formula. If you want to find out the arc length of a sector, you can use this formula. So what's the formula here? Angle at the center divided by 360 into 2 pi r. So what is r there? R is the radius of a circle, and what is theta? Theta is the angle at the center. So this is the arc length of a sector. Now we'll take some examples to see the pattern. 180 degrees, what is the shape? That's a semicircle. Semicircle, this angle is 180. So what's the ratio of this angle divided by the angle around a point? That's 180 divided by 360. And what's the simplified fraction? When you simplify, you see double of this one is 360. 180 times 2 is 360. So you can write half as the simplified fraction. So what's the arc length? So using the previous formula, we can say half is the fraction that you are getting, angle divided by 360 into 2 pi r. So when you do that, you can see, you can simplify this and write pi r. Because half and 2 get cancelled out and you can write pi r. Now what about the next one? If it's 90, what's the shape you are getting? This is a quarter of a circle, 90 degrees. So here, what's the ratio? 90 divided by 360. When you simplify, what you get? 9 times 4 is 36. So here, 1/4. And how can we find out the arc length? Take the fraction multiplied by 2 pi r. You can simplify and write pi r over 2. But we don't need to simplify, we'll see a pattern. If it's 270, what's the shape? You're getting a shape like this. So this is 270. So here, how can we find out the arc length? Angle divided by 360, and when you simplify, you get 9 times 3 and 9 times 4. So 3/4. So what's the arc length? 3/4 into 2 pi r. What about this one? 60 degrees, you are getting an acute angle, something like this. This is 60 degrees given. So what's the ratio? 60 over 360. When you simplify this, what you get? You get 1/6. So what's the arc length? 1/6 into 2 pi r. This one, 30. 30 is another small one compared to 60. Again, what's the ratio? 30 over 360. When you simplify, what you get? 1/12. 3 times 12 is 36. So what's the arc length? 1/12 into 2 pi r. What about 45? You get bigger than that and smaller than 60. So what's the ratio? 45 over 360. Try to simplify this. 9 times 5, 9 times 4. This is 5 times 1, 5 times 8. So you get 1/8. So what's the arc length? 1/8 into 2 pi r. What about 120? 120, you get an obtuse angle, something like this. So this is 120. So what's the ratio? 120 over 360. When you simplify this, 12 times 3 is 36. So you get 1/3 of a circle. So 1/3 into arc length is 1/3 into 2 pi r. Now, we found several arc lengths when the angles given as 180, 90, 270 like that. If this is theta, any angle theta, how can we find out the arc length? Now look at the pattern. So first we found out the ratio. So the ratio here is theta over 360. Angle divided by 360. So here you can't simplify further. We can write theta over 360 here. So what's the arc length? This value, this ratio multiplied by 2 pi r. So can you see the formula now? So always this ratio comes first and then multiplied by 2 pi r. So what's the ratio we have to find? Angle at the center divided by 360. So here we can write down for any sector, if you want the arc length, this is equal to angle divided by 360 into 2 pi r. So memorize this formula and find out the arc length of a sector. Now we'll look at the example 1 in your textbook. So here, what is this shape? This is a sector given. And what is the angle at the sector? 45. And the radius is given 7 centimeters. So first part, they asked to find out what fraction of the circumference of the circle in the figure is the arc length of the shaded sector. So the full circle is 360. Angle at the center is given 45. So what's the ratio? So what fraction? So divide 9 times 5, 9 times 4. And 5 times 1, 5 times 8. So 1 over 8. And the second part, they ask find the arc length. So we know you can straight away find out the arc length using the formula, the fraction of the angle to 360 into 2 pi r. Pi you can use 22 over 7. What's the r value? R value given as 7. Now try to simplify this. So first we can write 2 times 22 times 7 in the numerator and 8 times 7 in the denominator. Now see whether you can simplify. I can simplify this with this, and 2 with 1, 2 with 4, and again 2 with 2, 2 with 11. So what's the answer? 11 divided by 2. If you want this one in decimals, what's the value? So you get 5.5. What's the unit? Unit is centimeter. So the arc length of this sector is 5.5 centimeters. Now we'll look at example number 2. So now obtuse angle given at the angle of the sector. The arc length of the sector in the figure is 44. So this distance here to here given as 44. So you are asked to find out the radius. So we'll put radius as r. So what can we do? We can use the formula. So what's the formula? Arc length is equal to angle over 360 into 2 pi r. So angle given as 120. 360 into 2. What is pi value? 22 over 7, and you need to find out the radius, and the arc length is given 44. Now how can we simplify? First you can write again all numerator values separately. 120, 2, 22 and r divided by 360 and 7 there. So 44 here. Now try to simplify. So what can you do? We can see 12 times 3, 36. What else? You can't multiply. So here you get 2 times 22 is 44r over 3 times 7, 21 is equal to 44. So I can rewrite this as 44r over 21 is equal to 44. How can I find r? You have to do the opposite operations. So opposite operations means you have to first multiply by 21 and divide by 44. So you do the same thing for the other side. Multiply by 21 and divide by 44. So what happens? 21, 21 get cancelled out. 44, 44 get cancelled out here. 44, 44 get cancelled out here as well. So what's the answer? R equals 21. What's the unit? Centimeters. So here we can find out easily the R value when the arc length is given. Now example number 3. Look at the diagram. You have given a sector. The arc length of the sector in the figure is 11 centimeters. That means this length is given 11 centimeters. Find the angle at the center. So that means you are asked to find out this angle. So theta. So what is the formula we can use? We can straight away use the formula L equals angle divided by 360 into 2 pi r. So what's the angle? We have to find out. 360 is there. 2 times pi value. What's the pi value? Pi value we can take as 22 divided by 7. And what's the r value? R value we can take as 9 centimeters. So what's the arc length given? Arc length is given as 11. Now we'll try to find out theta. So first we'll write down all the numerator values together. 2 times 22 times 9 theta over 360 into 7 is equal to 11. Now how can we find out theta? Try to simplify first. I can see this 9 times 1, 9 times 4. What else? I can simplify 2 with this 40. You get 20. Again, divide by 2, you get 11 and 10. Now try to rewrite this. I get 11 theta over 10 times 7, 70 is equal to 11. So how can I find theta? I can multiply this by 70 and divide this by 11. So try to simplify. 11 get cancelled out. 70 get cancelled out. So here also 11 get cancelled out. So what's theta? Theta is equal to 70. What's the unit here? This is about an angle. So we use degrees as the unit of angle. Answer is 70 degrees. Now we'll look at these 3 examples. It says first one, find PQ arc length. So PQ arc length means you are asked to find out this length. So here, how can we find out? Straight away you can use the formula. So what's the formula we are using? L equals angle over 360 into 2 pi r. So here, what's the angle given? 140 over 360 into 2. What's the pi value? Pi value you have to take 22 over 7. What's the r value? R value given here is 18. Now try to simplify this. I can see 7 and this one get cancelled out and you get 20. And here 0, 0. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 9, 36. And here 9 with this 18, you get 2. So what's the final answer? You get 22 times 2, that's equal to 44. What's the unit? Centimeters. Now we'll look at the next example. It says find theta when arc length is given 22. So here they have given this length, that's the arc length, that's 22 centimeters. So you are asked to find out the angle at the center. So what you do? Straight away you can use the formula. So what's the formula? L equals angle over 360 into 2 pi r. So what's the angle? You have to find out. 360 is there. 2 and pi is 22 over 7. And what is the r value? R value is 18. So substitute 18 there. So what's the arc length? It's given as 22. Now try to simplify this. We'll first rewrite everything. 2 times 22 times 18 theta over 360 into 7 is equal to 22. So how can we find theta? You can do the opposite operation. So angle theta equals, you multiply by this. So 22 multiplied by 360 into 7 divide by 2 times 22 times 18. Now try to simplify this further. I can see 22 get cancelled out. And here 18 times 1, 18 times 2. And again 2 times 20, that's 10. So what's the answer? Theta equals 10 times 7, that's 70 degrees. Now we'll look at this question. So you get a reflex angle here. So you're asked to find out the angle when arc length is given 88. So arc length means this length. I'll show you with another color. This length. So this length is given as 88 and you're asked to find out this angle. So here use the formula L. L is 88 is equal to angle, that's theta divided by 360 into 2 pi. Pi is 22 over 7 into r. What's the radius given? 21. Now try to simplify. Here I can simplify 7 and 21 and write 3. And here also I can write 3 with 360. I can write 120. Now rewrite this and do the opposite operation to get theta. So what is theta? Theta is equal to 88 multiplied by 120 divided by this value. So 2 times 22. So what's the answer? 2 times 22 is 44. 44 times 2 is 88. So 2 times 120, you get 240 degrees. Now we'll look at exercise 1.1 in your textbook. So here first question, they asked to find out the arc length of each of the sectors given below. So here this is a semicircle. So what's the angle at the center? This is 180 because this is a semicircle. So you need to know the angle at the center is 180. So how can we find out the arc length? So you can use the formula. L equals angle over 360 into 2 pi r. Now here, what's the angle? It's 180 over 360. 2 pi value is 22 over 7. And what's the r value? This is given as the diameter. So what's the radius? Half of it. What is half of 28? You get 28 divided by 2, you get 14 as the radius. So then try to simplify. This one, you get double of this one. This 2 and this 2 get cancelled out. And what about 7 and 14? 7 times 1, 7 times 2. So what's remaining? 22 times 2, you get 44 centimeters. Now we'll look at the second diagram. The angle at the center is 90 degrees. So here straight away you can use the formula angle 90 divided by 360 into 2 pi value. Pi value we take 22 over 7 into r. What's the radius here? 7. Now try to simplify. 90 times 4, 360. And then this 7 get cancelled out with this 7. So here 2 with this 4, you get 2. 21 divided by 2, you get 11. So what's the arc length of this figure? 11 centimeters. Now here you are getting an obtuse angle here. So how you find out the arc length? Angle, that's 120 divided by 360 into 2, pi value is 22/7 into r. R is given 21. Now try to simplify this. 12 times 3, 36. And this 7 and this 21, you get 3. This 3 with this one get cancelled out. And what is remaining? 2 times 22. So 2 times 22 is 44 centimeters. So here we found arc lengths of these figures. So that means this length, and this length. Now we'll look at the next part. So you have given the angle at the center is 36 degrees. So straight away we'll use the formula angle divided by 360 into 2, what's the pi value? 22/7. R value. So R value is given 3.5. So it's easy to convert to fraction and write down the fraction value for simplification. So here what is 3.5? How can I write? I can write 3.5, or I can write as 7/2 as the improper fraction. So I can write instead of 3.5, 7/2. So I'll write 7/2 there. Now try to simplify. 36 times 1, 36 times 10. And this 7 get cancelled out, this 2 get cancelled out. And you get 22 divided by 10. What's the answer? 2.2 centimeters. What about the next one? This is angle 240. So use the formula angle divided by 360 into 2 pi value. Pi value is 22/7 and R value. R value is given 35. Now try to simplify here. 0, 0 get cancelled out. 6 times 4 and 6 times 6. Again you can divide by 2. 2 times 2, 2 times 3. What else we can simplify? This 7 and 35 you can write as 5. Can we simplify further? No, we can't simplify further. So what's the answer? 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 5, 20. 20 times 22 divide by 3. Now try to simplify. You can multiply by 2 and put a 0. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 2, 4. Divide by 3. So here you can write as a fraction 3 times 1, 3. 14 divided by 3. 3 times 4, 12. 2 remaining for 20. 3 times 6, 18. 2 remaining, so 2/3. So 146 and 2/3 centimeters. What about this one? Now, what's the angle at the center there? The outside angle is given 60, not the angle at the center. So, first thing, we need to find out this angle. How can we find out? We know when you take a point around the point, that is equal to 360. So, how can we find out this angle if the whole thing is 360? This is 60, so you can subtract and find out the other angle. So the angle at the center is 360 minus 60, that's 300. Now you can apply the formula. So L equals angle divided by 360 into 2, pi value is 22/7. R, 10.5. Which one we use? A decimal value or a fraction value? Fraction value is easier than using decimal value. So here, how can I write 10.5? 10.5 means 10 and a half when I write as an improper fraction, this is 21 over 2. So I can write this one as 21 over 2. Now try to simplify this. 0, 0 get cancelled out. This 2 get cancelled out with this 2. 7 cancel out with 21 and can write 3. This 3 you can divide by this one and write 12 there because 12 times 3 is 36. What else? I can simplify 6 times 5, 6 times 2. And here again, this 2 and this 21, I can write 11. So what's the final answer? 11 times 5, you get 55 centimeters. Now we'll look at perimeter of a sector of a circle. So far we found out arc length of a sector. So we'll see how we can find the perimeter of a sector. So we'll take sectors. I'll take this one, or I can draw something like this. This is also a sector. Angle at the center, I can write theta here. This is the theta here. And if the radius is r, I can write this is radius r, this is radius r. Here when you look at these two sectors, we can use this is as the minor arc, minor sector, because the angle is the acute angle. So remember this word, minor sector. What about this one? The angle is reflex. So we call it this one as major sector. Now we'll try to find out the perimeter of any sector. So here what is perimeter means? Total outer distance of a closed plane figure. So when we start from here, we can go round this and find out the perimeter. So we'll start from here. So what is the perimeter? You need to find out r plus. What is this one? This is the arc length we found before. So here arc length, we'll put L, and here again another r. So in this case also see the diagram. Look at the diagram carefully. I'll take this color. So if you start from here, this is the arc length, r and another r. So same thing you are getting. So here we'll try to simplify this. R and R, you can write 2r. So what is L? We found arc length before. So what's the formula we use for arc length? Angle divided by 360 into 2 pi r. So here when you take 2r out, what can you write? You can write 1 plus theta over 360 into r. Or you can remember, without taking 2r out, you can write double of r plus angle over 360 into 2 pi r. So memorize this formula if you want to find out the perimeter of a sector. So what is r? R is the radius of the sector. What is theta? Theta is the angle at the center, and pi we can take as 22 over 7. Now we'll take these examples and we'll find out the perimeter, not the arc length. So here you have given 21 as the radius and 60 as the angle at the center. So what's the perimeter of this figure? You can write double of r. R is 21 plus angle. Angle is 60 over 360 into 2. What's the pi value? Pi value 22 over 7 into r. What is r? 21. Now try to simplify. We'll simplify this part first. I can see 0, 0 get cancelled out. 6 and 36, you get 6 here. What else we can cancel out? 7 with 21, you get 3 here. And this 3 and this 2 become 6. Get cancelled out with this 6. So what's the answer there? You get 22. So here 2 times 21 is 42. 42 plus 22. What's the answer? You get 64 centimeter as the perimeter of this sector. Now take the next example. The radius is 10.5 and the angle is 120. So here you can use the perimeter formula. Double of r. I told you it's easy to use the fraction instead of 10.5. So what is 10.5? 10 and a half. And when you write as improper fractions, this is 21 over 2. So we'll use 21 over 2. So double of r, 2 times 21 over 2 plus angle 120 over 360 into 2, pi value 22 over 7, and what's the r value? R value is 21 over 2. Now try to simplify this part. 0, 0 get cancelled out. 12 times 3 is 36. And what else? We can simplify here. 7 with 21, this is 3. And this 3 and this 3 get cancelled out. This 2 and this 2 get cancelled out. And what is remaining? 22. What about this side? This 2 get cancelled out with this 2. So what is the answer? You get 21 plus 22. What's the answer? 43 centimeters. Now this is a sector, major sector you have given, and this is 90 degrees. What is the angle at the center? We know the whole angle is 360 and this is given 90. So what's the angle at the center? 360 minus 90. So what is 360 minus 90? You get 270. Now we'll find out the perimeter. So perimeter is equal to double of r. R is given 7. Write down, plus angle is 270. We found that. Divide by 360 into 2. Pi value you can write 22 over 7 and r value is 7. Now try to simplify. This 0 get cancelled out with this 0. This 7 get cancelled out with this one. 9 times 3, 9 times 4. 2 times 2. And here 22 with 2, you can write 11. So what is remaining there? 11 times 3, 33. So what is 2 times 7? You get 14 plus 33. So this is 4 plus 3, 7, 47 centimeters. Now we'll take this one and I'll take this as 42 centimeters. This is a minor arc and minor sector. So you asked to find the perimeter. So straight away you can use the formula. Double of the radius 42 plus angle is given 60 over 360 into 2, pi value is 22 over 7 into radius. Radius is 42. Now try to simplify. 60 times 6 is 360. This 7 and 42 you get 6. And this 6 and this 6 get cancelled out. So you get 2 times 22, that's 44. So here you get 2 times 42 is 84 and 44 together you get 128 centimeters. Now we'll look at example 1 in your textbook. First example, it says the figure denotes a sector of a circle of radius 21 and with angle at the center 120. Find its perimeter. So perimeter means you are finding all these outer distance. So here straight away you can use the formula. Perimeter is equal to double of r, that's 21, plus angle. So now we are trying to find out the arc length. Arc length, how can we find out? Angle. Angle is given 120. So 120 over 360 into 2 pi value. Pi value is 22 over 7 into r. R is given 21. Now try to simplify this part. You get 3 times 12 is 36 and 7 with 21 you get 3. This 3 get cancelled out with this 3. So what is remaining? 2 times 21 is 42 and 2 times 22 44. So what's the answer? 42 plus 44 you get 86. This is in centimeters, so the perimeter of this sector is 86 centimeters. Now we'll look at example number 2. So it says this perimeter of a sector which is 2/3 of a circle is 260. Find its radius. So here 2/3 of a circle. So something like that. So here when you take a circle, divide into 3 parts and then 2/3 of that. So that means something like this. So 2/3 of a sector is given and the perimeter is given 260. So here we'll put r here and this part is 260. So this length is given 260 centimeters. So you are asked to find out the radius. So here how you find out the perimeter? So perimeter is equal to double of r plus angle over 360. So what is 2/3 means? Actually the angle divided by 360 is given as 2/3. So theta over 360 into 2 pi r. Now I can substitute the values. R we don't know. Perimeter is given 260 and angle. What is angle? 2/3. This whole part is given 2/3. You don't need the angle. Just the fraction is given 2/3. 2 pi value is 22 over 7 and what's the radius? You can use same r value. Now try to simplify. You can write 2r plus 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 22, 88 r over 7. And then 3 also there. So we'll 7 times 3, I can write 21 is equal to 260. So I need to get rid of this 21. So what I can do? I can multiply everything by 21. So what happens here? 21 get cancelled out. Then what is remaining? 21 into 260 is equal to 21 times 2 r plus 88 r. Now I see you can simplify the like terms. What is 21 times 2? You get 42. What is 88 here? 88R. So when you simplify like terms, you get 8 plus 2, 10, 1 remaining, 9 plus 4, 13. 130R is 21 times 260. So how can I find R? I can divide both sides by 130. So I can write R as 21 times 260 over 130. So I can see double of this one is 260. 2 times 21 is 42. So radius of this sector is 42. Unit is centimeters. Now we'll look at exercise 1.2 in your textbook. So these are the diagrams given and you are asked to find out the arc length. But this is under perimeter, so I'll find out perimeter for all of these shapes. I think this is a mistake in your textbook. So I'll find out both arc length. You need to find out the perimeter as well. So I'll find out perimeter for this figure. So this is whole angle is 180. So angle at the center is 180. So what's the formula for perimeter? 2R. So 2R actually, what's 2R? That's the diameter. So you can write 2R, that means 14 plus angle is 180 over 360 into 2 pi, pi is 22 over 7 into R. So what is R here? 14 is the diameter, so 14 divided by 2, you get 7. Now try to simplify. 180 times 2 is 360. This 2 get cancelled out with this 2. 7 get cancelled out with this 7 and you get 14 plus 22. So what's the answer? You get 36 centimeter for the perimeter. So not the arc length. So I'll doing perimeter. Okay, look at the second one. So you have given a quarter of a circle. So and you are asked to find the perimeter. So here straight away use the formula double of R. 2 times 14 because R is 14 plus angle is 90 divided by 360 into 2, pi value is 22 over 7 into R is 14. Now we'll simplify this part first. 90 times 4 is 360. 7 times 2, 14. This 2 and this 2 becomes 4. Get cancelled out with this 4. So what's remaining? You get 22. So the answer is 2 times 14 is 28 plus 22. So you get 50 centimeter for the perimeter of this figure. Now look at the next one. Angle at the center is 60 degrees and the radius is given 21. So you use the same formula. So what's the perimeter? You can find double of R plus angle is 60 divided by 360 into 2, pi value is 22 over 7 into R. Now try to simplify. 60 times 6 is 360. This 7 with this 21 you get 3. 3 times 2 6 and this 6 get cancelled out. So what is remaining? 2 times 21 is 42 plus 22. You get 64 centimeters for the perimeter of this figure. And the last part, the angle at the center is 200 and the radius is given 7 centimeters. So how can we find out the perimeter? Use the formula. double of r. 2 times 7 plus angle is given 200. Divide by 360 into 2 into pi into r. Now simplify. So here 7 and 7 get cancelled out, and here this 0 get cancelled out with this 0. What else we can cross it out? 2 with this 36 you get 18, and this one you divide by 2 you get 10 here and 9 here. Divide by 2, and then that's all. 10 into 22 is 220 over 9. So when you simplify, what you get? 14. So when you write as a mixed number, what you get? 9 times 2, 18. For 40, 9 times 4, 36, and 4 remainings, 4 over 9. So when you add these two together, what happens? 4, 4, 8, 38 and 4 over 9 centimeters. Now we'll look at question number 2. It says find the radius of the sector when the angle at the center is 180 and the perimeter is given 100 centimeters. So we'll sketch a diagram. So here 180. So that should be a semicircle. So this is 180 given. And the perimeter is given 180. So we'll use the formula. So what's the formula? P equals double of r plus angle over 360 into 2 pi r. We know the perimeter is 180. 2 times r. We need to find out r. Angle is given 180. 2 into pi. Pi is 22 over 7. And r you can write as r. So here try to simplify. 180 times 2, 360. This 2 and this 2 get cancelled out. And we'll rewrite this 180. 2 times r, 2r. What you get here? 22r over 7. Now we need to get rid of this 7. So what we can do? I can multiply all these terms by 7. Because this is an equation. You can do the same thing for all terms. So here what happens here? 7 times 2, 14r. This 7 and this 7 get cancelled out. You get 22r. Then 7 times 180. Simplify the right hand side because you get like terms. So what you get? 14 plus 22. You get 36r is equal to 7 times 180. So what is r? 7 times 180 divided by 36. So now simplify. You can divide by 9. 9 times 4, 9 times 2. So 20 divided by 4, you get 5. 7 times 5, you get 35. What's the unit here? Centimeters for the radius. Now take the second part. So what's the second part says? When the angle at the center is 120. So 120 is an obtuse angle. So something like this. So this is given 120 and we'll put r as the radius. So perimeter is given 43. So here use the formula. Perimeter is double of r. 2r plus angle is 120 over 360 into 2. Pi is 22 over 7 and r is there. So perimeter I can write this one as 43. Now can we simplify? Here I can simplify. 120 times 3 is 360. And then what else? That's all. So I can rewrite this as 43 2r plus 2 times 22, 44r over 21. 3 times 7, you get 21. Now, there's a fraction, so how can we get rid of this fraction? Multiply all these terms by 21. Then we see this 21 get cancelled out. So what you get here, 21 times 43 is equal to 2 times 21 is 42 r plus 44r. When you add these two together, 4 plus 2 6, 4 plus 4 8. 86r is 21 times 43. So what is our value? You can divide this by 86. So 21 times 43 divide by 86. So here can you see 43 times 2 is 86. So you can divide by 2. So the answer is 21 over 2 centimeters, or when you simplify and write as a decimal, you get 10.5 centimeters. Now we'll look at the third question. In the third question, it says find the angle at the center of the sector when the perimeter is 64 and the radius is given. So we'll sketch the diagram for the first one. We don't know whether it's a minor sector or major sector, but it's given. We can just draw a sector. We don't know the angle. The radius is 21 and the perimeter is 64. So you can use the formula. So the perimeter 64 is equal to double of radius plus angle at the center divided by 360 into 2 pi. Pi is 22 over 7 into r. R is 21. Now, trying to simplify this part, I can cancel out 7 with 21 and write 3 here. And again, this 3 and this 2 becomes 6. 6 times 6, 36. And here again, this divide by 2, 11, and you get 30 here. So here 64 equals 2 times 21, 42. So here plus, so what's remaining here? 11 theta over 30. So here how can we solve theta? I can first take 42 to the other side. So 11 theta over 30 is equal to, what is 64 minus 42? You get 22. So 11 theta over 30 is 22. How can I find theta? Multiply this by 30 and divide by 11. Multiply this by 30 and divide by 11. So here you get theta equals, here 11 times 2, 2 times 30, you get 60 degrees. So this is a minor sector. Now we'll look at the second part. When the perimeter is 53 and the radius is 21. Now here I'll draw something like this. We don't know. We know the radius 21 and you are asked to find out the angle at the center. So perimeter is given 53. So we'll use the formula. Perimeter is equal to double of radius 2 times 21 plus angle divided by 360 into 2. Pi is 22 over 7 and radius 21. Now try to simplify this part. 7 times 3, 21. 3 times 2, 6. And this divided by 6, you get 60. What else? I can simplify with divide by 2. 11 and 30. So what's remaining? I'm getting 53 here. 2 times 21, 42. Plus 11 theta over 30. So how you find 11 theta over 30? I can subtract 42 from 53. When I subtract 53 and 42 from 53, what I'm getting? I'm getting 11. So what is theta? Theta is equal to multiplied by 30 and divide by 11. So 11 get cancelled out and the angle here is 30 degrees. Now we'll look at compound figures. Now what are compound figures? Here can you see? You get a rectangle and a semicircle. So when you join different shapes together, we call these a compound figure. So here this is an example of a compound figure. So here compound figures. So we are now try to find out perimeter of compound figures. So in this example, it's given length is 20 and breadth is 14 in this rectangle, and you are asked to find out the perimeter of this figure. So what is perimeter means? Total outer distance. So here you get 20 and you get an arc here and another 20 and 14. So that's the perimeter. So first thing we can do, we can find out this arc length. How you find out the arc length? You need to use the formula. L equals angle over 360 into 2 pi r. So we'll first find out the arc length. So arc length is equal to, what's the formula? Angle. What is semicircle means? Angle is 180 over 360 into 2 pi r value. Here this whole distance is 14. So that means the diameter of this semicircle is 14. So what's the radius? So the radius becomes half of it. That's 7. So I'll plug instead of pi 22 over 7 and the radius is 7. Now try to simplify this. 180 times 2 is 360. 7 get cancelled out. This 2 and this 2 get cancelled out. So what's remaining? You get 22 as the arc length. Now we'll try to find out the perimeter of the compound figure. So here when you start from here, you get 14, 20 and this arc length is 22 we found before and this length is 20. So when you add all together, you get the perimeter of this compound figure. So here 20, 20, 40, 40 plus 22, 62. 62 plus 14, what you get? 76 centimeters as the perimeter of this compound figure. Now we'll look at example number 2. It says the figure represents a square lamina of side length 15. So this side is given 15. If the shaded sector AGB, this is the sector, and the triangular portion, this triangular portion GEF are cut out, find the perimeter of the portion BCDFG. BCDFG means you are asked to find out the perimeter of this figure. So how can we find out the perimeter? So can you see this whole distance is 15 and this distance is 8. So what is this part? So you have to subtract. So 15 minus 8, you get 7 centimeters. Now this is a sector, quarter of a circle. The radius of the quarter of a circle is now 7 centimeters. And here you can find out this arc length using the formula L equals angle over 360 into 2 pi r. Now what's the angle there? 90 degrees. You can write 90 over 360 into 2. Pi is 22 over 7. So what's the r value now? R is 7. So here try to simplify. 7, 7 get cancelled out. 90 times 4 is 360. And here 2 times 2 you get 4. Again you can divide by 2 and write here 11. So what's the arc length? 11 centimeters. Now we found this part. And what about this length? We know the total distance is 15. This is 7. So this part becomes again 15 minus 7. You get 8 centimeters. So this side is 15. And what about this side? We know the total distance is 15. 15 minus 6 is this part. So 15 minus 6 is what? 9 centimeters. And how can we find out this length? We know this is a square. So this is right angle. So what you get here? You get a right angle triangle. So one side is 8, the other side is 6. We need to find out this length. So what's the theorem we can use? We can use Pythagoras theorem. So how can we find out this side? You can use Pythagoras. So according to Pythagoras, hypotenuse squared is equal to sum of square of the other two sides. When you do that, 8 squared is 64, 6 squared is 36. When you add these two together, you get 100, square root of 100. So what is square root of 100? You get 10 times 10, so 10 centimeters. So you found this side is 10. So how can we find out the perimeter of this figure? We can add all the sides. Now we'll do that. So what's the perimeter? I can add. I'll start from here. What's the arc length we found? We found 11. Then we have to add 8. This side is 15. And this length is 9. And this length we found as 10 centimeters. So what's the total perimeter? So add all together. 11 plus 8 is 19. 19 plus 10, 29. 29 plus 15 is 44. 44 plus 9, you get 53. So what's the perimeter of this figure? You get 53 centimeters for the perimeter of this figure. Now we'll take an example to find out R. In this one, when the perimeter of the running track is 400 meters. So here, what's the compound shape here? You get a rectangle and 2 semicircles. 2 semicircles becomes one full circle. So you are asked to find out the radius. So radius means half of this distance. So here, perimeter of this running track is given 400. That means this plus this and this all together, that's given 400 meters. So how can we do that? We know this distance is 90. So this is a rectangle. This is also 90. Now, can you see this semicircle and this semicircle? You get one full circle. And this is the radius r. So what's the circumference of a circle? We know that circumference is 2 pi r. So here, what's the perimeter then? Perimeter of this figure is 2 pi r. That's the full circle plus 90 and 90. And that's given as 400. So we'll do it here. 400 is equal to 2 pi. Pi is 22 over 7 times r plus 90 plus 90, you get 180. Now try to simplify. First we'll take 180 to the other side. 400 minus 180. What's the answer? 400 minus 180, you get 220. So you can write 220 is equal to 2 times 22r over 7. How can we find r? I can multiply both sides by 7 and divide by 2 and 22. I can do the same thing here, divide by 2 and 22. So here this get cancelled out with this one, you get r. So what is r? R is equal to 22 times 10, 220, 2 times 5, 10, 7 times 5, you get 35. What's the unit here? 35 meters as the radius of the running track. We'll take another example. So here there's part shaded and you are asked to find out the perimeter of the shaded region. So that means you need to find out this length. This one is already given 40. You have to find this one and this length. So those are the lengths for the perimeter. So we have to add together. So first we'll see what is this and this. So first find the bigger one. 21 is the diameter there and that's a semicircle. Angle is 180. So we'll first find arc length of the bigger semicircle, bigger one. So you know angle is 180. Divide by 360 into 2. Pi is 22 over 7. R is 21 divided by 2 because diameter is given 21. So 21 over 2. So simplify this. 180 times 2. This 2 and this 2 get cancelled out. This 7 and this 21 you get 3. And here 2 with this 22 it get cancelled out and you get 11. So what's the answer? 11 times 3 you get 33. So 33 is the arc length of the bigger semicircle. Now we'll look at the smaller one. Now we know this full length is 21. 21 divided by 2 is the diameter of the small one. So both diameters are equal. So here this semicircle and this semicircle, you can say that's 1 circle. What's the radius now? What's the diameter there? Diameter is 21/2. Now we'll find out the circumference of the full circle. That's 2 pi r. So 2 times pi is 22/7 times. So here r value. What is r value there? Now the diameter of this circle is 21/2. What's the radius? 21/2 divide by 2 again. So here you get 21/2 multiply by half. Take the reciprocal. You get 21/4 as the radius. So here, what's the radius here? 21/4. Now, try to simplify this. 7 times 21, you get 3. 2 with this 4, you get 2 again. Divide by 2, you get 11. So, what is 11 times 3? You get 33. What can you see? So, this is these two circles inside a rectangle. So, when you are dividing these two together, it's same as this side. Can you see? You got the arc length 33. Here also 2 semicircles, you get 33. Now look at this one, 33 and 33. Here we can see that when you get a rectangle and when you divide this into several semicircles, you get the same arc length. So here if you divide into 2 or 3 several semicircles, the same arc length you are getting. So if you see something like this, you don't need to do the calculations again. You can straight away write down, you found this circumference 33, here also 33. Now what's the perimeter now? Perimeter of the total figure is 21. For the big semicircle we found 33. For small 2 semicircles also 33. So this side 40 and another 40. So 40 plus 40. So what's the final answer? You get 3 plus 3. Here 33 becomes 66 plus 80. You get 646 centimeters. Now look at the third question. This is a square and you are asked to find out the perimeter of the shaded region. So that means you need to find out this length and this length and this one. So here the square side is 28 centimeters. So that means what is half of it? Divide by 2, you get 14 each. Here 90 degrees. Quarter of a circle, the radius is 14. And here also you are getting quarter of a circle. So quarter and quarter becomes a semicircle. So here you get 180 semicircle angle and radius is 14. So we can find out the perimeter by calculating the arc length first. So first we'll find out the arc length. Angle 180 divided by 360 into 2, pi is 22/7 into radius. Radius is 14. Now try to simplify. 180 times 2. 7 and 14, you get 2 here. This 2 and this 2 get cancelled out. So 22 times 2, you get 44. And what about this side? So that is the arc length. So this is in centimeters. Now easily you can find out the perimeter of the shaded part. So we'll try to start from here. 14, 14, 14, 14. So how many 14s are there? You get 4 14s and then add the arc length. So arc length is 44. So what's the answer? 4 times 4, 16, 1 remaining, 4 times 1, 4, 4 plus 1, 5, plus 44. When you simplify, you get 100 centimeters as the perimeter of the shaded region. Now we'll look at the next example. So in this example, it's a square and given this length is 7 and you are asked to find out the perimeter of the shaded region. So here that means you have to take the total lengths of these 4 distances. Now when you take one part, I'll take this part and draw here and take this one and I want to rotate it and paste it here. And take the other part, rotate it and paste here. And what about the other part? Rotate it and paste here. What happens? You get one full circle. So here, if you know this is one full circle, basically what's the perimeter? This is the circumference of a circle. Now we need to know what's the radius of this circle. So we can see radius is given 7 centimeters. So here what's the perimeter of this shaded region? You can use straight away 2 pi r. So 2 times pi is 22 over 7 and r is 7. So here 7 get cancelled out. 2 times 22 is 44 centimeters. That's the perimeter of the shaded region. Now we'll look at another example. Now look at the diagram. You are asked to find out the perimeter of the shaded region. So one side is given 80 centimeter and the other side 42. Now look at carefully. You are asked to find out the perimeter of this figure. So you are asked to find the total distance of this. Now earlier we did an example similar to this one. When you take a rectangle or whatever same side and dividing into 2 circles, we found that you get the arc length of the same thing as on the other side. So here we can apply the same theory here. So here divided into 3 arcs, but this side is 1 arc. So if you can find out the arc length of this, that's same as this side. If you want, you can check it out. We'll see. This is 42. So 42 divided by 3. What's the first one length? So 42 divided by 3, you get 14. So 14 is 1 diameter. So we'll check that out whether you get the same length as this one. So diameter is 14 means what's the arc length here? This is a semicircle. So 180 divided by 360 into 2 pi r. R is 7 because diameter is 14. So r is 7. So here when you simplify, this is double. 2 get cancelled out, 7 pi. So 7 pi means 22 over 7 times 7. You get 22 for this length. So you have 3 arcs. So 22 times 3, you are getting 66. We'll see this side. If you are using the formula, what you should get? You should get the same answer. So here 42 is the diameter. Divide by 2, you get 21 as the radius. So here What's the formula we can use? 180 divided by 360 into 2. Pi is 22 over 7. R is 21. Now simplify and see whether you get the same answer. 180 times 2, this 2 get cancelled out. 7 with this 21, you get 3. 3 times 22, you get 66. Can you see? So when you get a similar question like this, you don't need to find out separate arc lengths. So you can do one side and multiply by 2 to get the other side. So here you can do, now we found out this arc length is 66. So what's the perimeter of this shaded region? So you can find out perimeter is equal to, we found out 66 is the arc length of one side, you can multiply by 2 because same arc length you are getting, plus 80 plus 80. So when you simplify, what you get? 2 times 6 is 12, 1 remaining, 2 times 6, 12 plus 1, 13 plus 160. So when you add these together, you get 292. What's the unit? Centimeters. Now we'll look at the exercise 1.3 in your textbook. So in the first question, they asked to find out the perimeter of each of the following plane figures. O denotes the center of the circle of the sector in the figure. So here, this is the center in this figure, and here this is the center. So you are asked to find the perimeter. So we'll see how we can find. This is a compound figure, a rectangle and a semicircle. So here you can straight away find out the arc length using the formula, and you just add 18, 14 and 18 to the arc length to get the perimeter of the compound figure. So we'll try to find out straight away. You can do that. So the perimeter of this figure is, so you can add 14 plus 18 plus 18 plus. Now we need to find out the arc length, but we know this is a semicircle. Angle at the center is 180. And what's the radius? 14 is the diameter. So the radius is half of it. So that's 7. So you can write down 180 divided by 360 into 2. Pi value is 22 over 7 into r. R is 7. Now try to simplify this. You get, we'll do this side first. 7, 7 get cancelled out. 180 times 2 is 360. This 2 get cancelled out with this 2. What's remaining? 22. So here we'll add these two together. 14 plus 18 plus 18 plus 22. So what's the perimeter? You get 8 plus 2, 10, 18, 18 plus 4, 22, 2 remaining, 2 plus 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 72 centimeter for the perimeter of this compound figure. Now we'll look at the second part. So here you have given a compound figure, a triangle with a semicircle. So here it's given these two sides are equal. That means this is also 4 centimeter. Now here this is given, the full length is 7. That means the diameter of this semicircle is 7. So what's the radius? 7 divided by 2. So we'll first find the arc length and then add 4 and 4 to arc length to get the perimeter of the compound figure. So here we'll do straight away. Perimeter is equal to 4 plus 4 plus arc length. Arc length is angle. Angle is 180 because this is a semicircle. 180 divided by 360 into 2 pi. Pi is 22 over 7. R is 7 over 2. Now try to simplify this one. 4 plus 4, 8. 180 times 2 is 360. This 2 and this 2 get cancelled out. And here 7 and 7 also get cancelled out. 22 divided by 2, you get 11. So 8 plus 11, what's the answer? You get 19 centimeters as the perimeter of the shaded part. Now we'll look at the second question. It says a semicircular portion of diameter 7. So here this part has been cut out from a semicircular lamina of radius 7 and welded to the lamina again as shown in the figure. So this part cut out and paste it here. Find the arc length of the sector of the circle of radius 7 centimeter. So here that means they are asking the bigger semicircle. So here radius is 7 and you are asked to find out the arc length. So what's the arc length for the first part? Arc length is, angle is 180 because this is a semicircle, over 360 into 2, pi is 22 over 7 into r. R is 7. Simplify this, 7 get cancelled out, 180 times 2, 2 and 2 get cancelled out. So you get 22 centimeters as the arc length of the bigger semicircle. Then the second part, find the arc length of the sector of the circle of diameter 7. Diameter 7 means the smaller one. So this one. So diameter 7 means what's the radius? 7 over 2. So how you find out the arc length? L is equal to 180 because this is a semicircle into over 360 into 2, pi is 22 over 7, r is 7 over 2. Now here again simplify, 180 divided by this one, you get 2, 2 get cancelled out, 7 get cancelled out. 22 divided by 2, you get 11. So here you get 11 centimeter for the smaller one. So what it says? The third part says find the perimeter of the shaded region. So perimeter of the shaded region means you have to find out this part. You did that in part 1. This part using part 2. Again another semicircle like this. So that means double of this. So how can we do the third part? Third part is find the perimeter. That means 22 plus 11 times 2 because you get 2 smaller semicircles for the shaded region. So 22 plus 11 times 2, 22. Again you are getting 44 centimeters. Now we'll look at the third question in the exercise. So in the third question it says the figure illustrates how an equilateral triangle of side length 7 is drawn within a sector of a circle of radius the length of a side of the triangle. So this is an equilateral triangle, means all sides are equal and one side is 7 centimeters. So here they ask find the arc length of the sector of the circle. Here, if this is an equilateral triangle, what is this angle? One angle is equal to 60 degrees. Now the first part, find the arc length of the sector of the circle. That means we are asking to find out this length. So how can we find out that length? So we know angle at the center is 60 degrees. So you can use straight away arc length is equal to 60 over 360 into 2, pi is 22 over 7. What's the r value? So this is the center of the sector and the radius is 7. Now try to simplify. 7 get cancelled out. 60 times 6 is 360. 2 with this, you get 3. So what's the answer? 22 over 3. You can simplify and write down 3 times 7, 21 and 1/3. 7 and 1/3 centimeters. What's the second part? Second part says find the perimeter of the shaded region. Now we found this length, and according to the shaded region you need this length, but we know this length is same as 7 because this is an equilateral triangle. So here what's the perimeter of the shaded region? So perimeter is, you just add 7 and the arc length. So when you add these two, you get 7 and 7 becomes 14 and 1/3 centimeters. Now we'll look at question number 4. In this figure, there are two sectors of circles ABED, ABED and CDFB, CDFB. So this is one arc and this is the other arc. If AB is 10.5, so where's AB? That means this is a square, one side is given 10.5. Find the perimeter of the shaded region using the given data. So here if you take this as the center, this is the arc length. So here first thing you can find out the arc length. You get the same arc length on the other side, just multiply by 2. So here what's the arc length of one side? You can take 10.5 is the radius. So here what's the angle there? This is a quarter of a circle. Angle is 90 degrees. So here 90 over 360 into 2 pi is 22 over 7. What's the R value? 10.5. So better to convert to fractions. So what is 10.5? 10 and a half, or you can 20 times 2 plus 1, 21 over 2. So you can write 21 over 2 instead of 10.5. Now try to simplify. 90 times 4 is 360 and 2 get cancelled out with this 2. 7 cancel out with this 21 and you get 3. What else? So again you can divide by 2 again here. So 11 times 3 you get 33, divide by 2. So that's one arc length. So you get double of that. So what's the perimeter of this figure? So perimeter becomes 33 over 2 multiplied by 2 because there are two arcs like the same thing. So here 2 get cancelled out. You are getting 33 centimeter for the perimeter of this shaded region. Now we'll look at question number 5. So in this question, the figure shows two sectors of circles of center A and radius AD and AR. How much greater is the perimeter of the sector APQR? APQR. So that means they are asking, this is the APQR sector, APQR sector, and the other one is the perimeter of the shaded region. So what is the perimeter of the shaded region? This arc, this part. So you are getting this one. So that's BPRD. Okay. So they are asking what's the difference between the perimeter of these two figures. So here it says this is a sector. What's the angle? 45. So here this is the shaded region. So here, and you need to find out the perimeter of the shaded region. Now if you want the difference, we can easily see what you need. Now here, if you are finding this one, so I'll write down with a different color. Now can you see when you subtract these two, what happens? This distance is the same as this distance. When you subtract, this side get cancelled out. Okay, and then you get this part. So here that means this part get cancelled out when you take the difference, and when you take this part, it also get cancelled out. And when you do that, what happens? So when you erase this part and this part, what happens? You are basically getting this arc length and these two lengths. So here we can easily find out these two lengths and subtract with this length. So we'll just find out the sum of these two lengths. So here can you see this length is 3.5. So this is 3.5, this is 3.5. What's the total distance? 3.5 plus 3.5, you get 7. What about this one? This means the arc length of the smaller sector. So we can easily find out the arc length of the smaller sector using the formula. Angle is 45 times 2, pi is 22/7, and the radius is 3.5. You convert to a fraction and write down 7/2. So try to simplify. 7 get cancelled out. 9 times 5, 9 times 4. So you get 40. 5 times 1, 5 times 8. This 2 get cancelled out with this 2. Again, you can divide by 2, 4 and 11. So what's the answer there? 11/4. So when you write as a decimal value, what is 11/4? You get 4 times 2, 8, and 30, you get 4 times 7 is 28, and for 20, that's 5. So here you get the arc length as 2.75 and these two lengths 7. So we need the difference. So difference is equal to 7 minus 2.75. So what's the difference? You get 5, 5, 10, 1 remaining. So here 8 and 2, 10, 1 remaining, 3 with 4. So the answer is 4.25 centimeters. Now we'll look at the miscellaneous exercise in your textbook. So in the first question, it says a sector of a circle as shown in the figure with angle at the center equals to 120 has been cut out from a circular lamina of radius 21. Show that the perimeter of the remaining portion of the lamina is 130. So this part, cut it out, and you are asking what's the perimeter of the other part. Now outside angle is 120. So what's the inside angle? 360 minus 120. So what's the answer? You get 240. Now we know in this sector the angle at the center is 240. So how you find out the perimeter of the other figure? Use the formula. Radius is 21. So double of radius, and angle is now 240 over 360 into 2 pi value is 22/7 times r. R is 21. Now we'll simplify this part. You get 0 get cancelled out. 7 with 21 you get 3. And 3 times 2, 6. 6 with 6, 36. 6 times 4, 24. So what's the answer there? 2 times 21 is 42 plus 4 times 22 is 88. So when you add this together, 8 plus 2, 10, 1 remaining, 9 plus 4, 13. So you get 130 centimeters for the perimeter of this figure. Now we'll look at the second question. In the second question it says the figure depicts a pond having semicircular boundaries. A protective fence along the boundary of the pond has been planned. Find the perimeter of the pond. So that means we need to find out the perimeter of this figure. So can you identify, without finding separate parts, we see that this part and this part you get one full circle. And also this small part with this small part you are getting another full circle. So first find out the circumference of the bigger one, circumference of the smaller one, and then add it together. What's the diameter of the bigger one? Diameter of the bigger one is 35 meters. What's the diameter of the smaller one? 14 meters. So we'll find out the circumference of these two circles and add it together. So the first part it says find the perimeter. Perimeter is equal to, what's the circumference of this one? Diameter is given, pi d. So you can straight away use pi into d. What about the circumference of the other one? Again pi d. So pi is 22/7, d is 14. So here simplify, 7 times 5, 7 times 2. 5 times 22 you get 110. So what is 22 times 2? You get 44. So what's the perimeter of the pond? You get 154 meters. Now second part it says it has been estimated that the cost of constructing 1 meter of the fence is 5,000. How much will it cost to complete the whole fence? So here it's given the 154 is the total perimeter. So here 1 meter cost how much? 5,000 rupees. So total perimeter is 154 meters. So what's the cost for that? So you take 5,000 divide by 1 into 154. So that means basically multiply by 5 and you can put 3 zeros. 5 times 4, 20, 2 remaining, 5 times 5, 25 plus 2, 27, 2 remaining, 5 times 1 is 5, 5 plus 2, 7. And then you can put another 3 zeros. So what's the answer? 770,000 rupees for the whole fence. Now we'll look at question number 3. In this question it says the figure depicts a rectangular plot of land with 2 semicircular flower beds. So these are the flower beds at the 2 ends. The shaded region is a lawn. Find the perimeter of the lawn. So that means they are asking find the distance of this one, total distance of the shaded region. So how can we do that? When you look at carefully, we see that this arc length and this arc length makes one full circle. What's the diameter? Diameter is 14. And you get 20 above and below 20. So here basically you need to find out the circumference of the circle and add 20 plus 20. So what's the answer for the first part? Perimeter is equal to 2 pi r or pi d, because here diameter is given. So you can use pi d. So 22 over 7 times 14. Pi d, that's the full circle, plus 20 plus 20. So what's the answer? 7 times 2. 22 times 2 is 44 plus 40. You get 84 meters. What's the second part? It has been decided to lay tiles around the lawn. Each tile is length 25 centimeters. So here they are trying to lay out tiles around the lawn. So something like this. So you are asked to find out the minimum number of tiles that are required. So one tile is 25 centimeter. So here we know that the total perimeter is 84 meters. And this is given in centimeters. So here you need to know the conversion. So centimeters and meters. So what's the conversion? 100 centimeters is 1 meter. So here we'll first convert the perimeter into centimeters. So how many centimeters? You multiply by 100. So that means you put 2 zeros there. So 8,400 centimeters for the whole perimeter. But one tile is 25 centimeters. So how many tiles you need? Number of tiles you need is, take the total perimeter, divide by the length of one tile. So divide by 5, 5 times 5, 5 times 1, 5, 34, 5 times 6, 40, 5 times 8, 0, and then divide by 5 again, 5 times 3, 15, for 18, 5 times 3, and for 30, 5 times 6. So how many tiles you need to lay out around the lawn? You need 336 tiles. Now we'll look at the fourth question. It says a portion of a grill to be fixed to a window has been made by combining two equal sectors of circles as shown in the figure. So that means equal means this sector is same as this sector. The person making the grill states that based on the given data, a wire of length 128 centimeters is required for it. Show with reasons that his statement is correct. All these with the wire. So here basically we need to find out the perimeter of the whole figure. So first we'll find out the arc length. So this is like a sector with angle at the center is 60 and the radius is 21. So first find the arc length, multiply by 2, you get both arc lengths, and then what you get here? This is 21, this is also 21, and this is also 21, and here also 21. Why? Because it's given same arc lengths. So all sides are 21s. So 21 times 4 with this arc length. So we'll try to find out the perimeter of the total figure is 21 times 4 plus 1 arc length. So angle is 60, divide by 360 into 2. Pi is 22 over 7 into r is 21, and you need to multiply this by 2 because there are 2 sectors and you need 2 arc lengths. Now try to simplify. 60 times 6. 7 times 21, that's 3. What else we can cross out? This 2 and this 3, you get 6. Cancel out with this 6. And you get 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 84 plus 22 times 2, that's 44. So what's the total perimeter? You get 8 and 12. So 128 centimeters for the full perimeter. So is this statement correct? So the person making the grill mentioned that the wire of length 128 is required for it. Yes, because we found out the total perimeter of this figure is 128. So you can write yes, the statement is correct because the total length of wire is 128 centimeters. So in this lesson we covered perimeter of different shapes like rectangles, squares, triangles, circles, and mainly sectors. And you can memorize these formulae and apply these in real life applications.